Okay, I'm stepping away.
Hey, it gave me the option to leave the meeting if I don't like the recording.
Well,
Hi, everybody. So Ben came up with a way better title than I could fit onto my title screen slide. So we're just going to go with your creative name of phishing. So tonight I'm going to talk to you about Gophish and what we've done for helping our clients. And really, I'm going to focus on some of the challenges that we've had to work through and just some of the technical issues that we ran into while trying to get that sweet scam email into our end user's inbox. It ended up being a little bit more involved than I originally thought, but I've appreciated the project in setting up the system because I've personally learned a lot about email. I mean, I've been doing email for 20 something years, but there were still things that I took for granted or didn't really give consideration to when trying to scam somebody. So, for someone who spent a lot of time trying to keep those emails out of the inbox, it was quite insightful to learn how to try and get it there. And it's really helped me with some of the other stuff that we're doing. Okay, so just real quick about me. Started Aegis in 2012, so we're coming up on 12 years, which I'm really excited about. It's a miracle, frankly. We're up in Tri-Cities, which is why I'm doing this remotely. So my office is in Kingsport. I live in Johnson City. I love coming down to Knoxville, but it's a 2-hour drive, and I couldn't swing it tonight. Normally, if I'm presenting, I try and be in there in person, but just I couldn't do it tonight. So such is life. Then got into IT consulting. Prior to that, for 5 years up outside New York City. So I've been in consulting for 17 years at this point. And then was doing help desk. So, just done all the different levels. And loved to fish when I grew up as a kid, but now I really like fishing even more. So just a couple letters difference in a huge world of differences. So real quick, one of our goals, the whole reason why we do this, in addition to make money from clients, is really to train people to recognize malicious emails. It's a significant problem. Even back, I mean, I remember when Nigerian scammers were really the popular thing and how many people would reply to those. I mean, spam emails have been around for basically as long as email has existed, trying to get people to click on links or send money or make phone calls or whatever else. It's been around for a very long time. And unfortunately, the implications are pretty severe, whether it's a redirected payroll request or wire money or send an ACH for this fake invoice. Like there's all sorts of implications to getting someone to click on a malicious email. And so we really want our users, and in my case, our clients, to be able to recognize malicious email, or at least think twice before they click or respond to something. We also want to prevent the IT incident. As much as it's great to have things to respond to it, I would rather it not happen in the first place. So if I could keep people from clicking on the link, then I don't have to go through and do cleanup afterwards. That's just a lot less time and hassle if someone doesn't click in the first place or doesn't call that Microsoft support phone number that's popped up saying that you have to call. Like if they don't call in the first place, it's a whole lot easier than if you have to do mitigation afterwards, no matter what software or programs you have in place. I just don't want them to click in the first place. Always better. Then we also want to provide a safe environment for users to fail. So let's be honest, failure is a pretty important training tool. I can, for all the success I've had in my career, the things that have stuck out the most are my biggest screw ups. Either I took down a system or took down a network, or in one case took down 3 networks at the same time. Like I remember those moments, and I know exactly what I did to screw it up, and I am never going to do that again. And so that becomes these really valuable training tools, and we want users, to be able to have a place to do that without having the actual consequences of sending that money or getting that password out, which leads to further compromise. So that's just an opportunity for people to have the chance to mess up, but not have significant consequences for the organization or to themselves. We also want to reinforce good email behavior when users do fail. So if they do fail, we want them to be able to recognize that they failed and be able to say, hey, here's what you missed. Here's why this is not actually your email provider. Here's why you shouldn't have clicked this link, and give opportunity for training so that when they do fail, we can help them prevent from doing that in the future, or more importantly, do it when a real fake email lands in their inbox. So yeah, it really is designed to help people improve. And like with anything else in life, you'll get a whole range. You get the people who pay attention, you get the people who don't pay attention, you get the people who care, you get the people who don't care. I'm simply there to identify which category each person is in. So methods, and this is where I'll well, the troubleshooting is what we'll spend the bulk of talk on, but we use Gophish. Gophish is open source. It's great. It has its own platform, meaning it has an email sender. It has a web interface. You can design your emails. It has the ability to set up a campaign and set up a list of people. It's got its own essentially scripting language that you can use to plug in and intersperse with your HTML. So you can customize the email to say, Dear John versus Dear Sir. You can put first name, last name, company name, CEO. You've got all these different variables that you can use. And it's a great platform, and it's completely free. I love it. And we got into this because one of my employees, actually a guy named Trey, he was wanting to do a project, and we were just looking for something to do, and we were literally just looking for something to do. And I come across this and said, hey, would you have an interest in this? Because it was going to hit a couple of things that he really wanted to learn how to do. And so he said, this looks great. So we set up a Gophish, we spun up a Gophish instance and just started messing around with it, and then turned it into something that we could use for our clients. So it's been really good. The important part also is the tracking. It comes with it has its own web browser. Sorry, it has its own web server built into the software. So when someone clicks the link, it registers the unique ID of the link that you just clicked. And so that's how we know who clicked on what. And it also provides a login portal so you can collect credentials and then have that as all in a big comprehensive report. It's really nice. So it also has the email server. You actually do need, depending on how you want to do it, you'll need a separate email server proper. So we started out by using an Office 365 account, but I was concerned about getting flagged. So we mostly just use Hmail. I've got a Windows Hmail server. I know, don't hate me for it. It works fine. It's free. I can pretend to be anybody I want to. It has all the features I need. So we use that in conjunction with the Gophish, point that to the HTML server, and that means I could just create any user with any email domain without any restrictions that I want. And that it's great. And then we have a host of interesting domains. So I've been slowly buying domains. Basically, as we go through time, I'm basically buying a domain a month, essentially, for whatever campaign I want to send out that month. So now we've accumulated at this point something like 15 different domains that we can use. And what I've really enjoyed about this is we can reuse campaigns. So once we create the campaign, I can send it out to another client if they haven't seen it before. I can reuse domains for future campaigns because something like Office 365, we've already reused it with a different email, but with the same phishing domain. And so that's been really great to be able to have all that. And interestingly enough, one of my favorite domains to send from is called office360.live. Namecheap wouldn't let me register it, said it was impersonating, but GoDaddy, who has no standards, let me register it without any issue. So, apparently if you need to scam, GoDaddy's your place to go. Then you also want to have quality HTML emails. So this has been the really time-consuming part out of everything. We want the landing page and the HTML email, and in order to get that to look nice, that's where we've spent a lot of time. Once again, the upside is once we've created that email, I can reuse it anytime I want. So the time sink for us as consultants is getting the initial email set up. From there, and then we can reuse it with other clients or later on down the line, because after a year or something, people aren't going to necessarily remember. But the quality, basically, if it looks nicer, you're more likely to get a click. So we do want our emails to match what is going on from other scammers, as well as look nice so that it looks like a legitimate impersonation attempt. Then you also want to have professional landing pages. So we make our landing pages look nice. At first, I was going all out and it was just taking too long. So what we've done instead is we'll take screenshots of landing pages and just intersperse those. So like we for one of our campaigns, we have a fake insurance company, And so rather than build out a whole landing page that has all those links and everything, we just took screenshots of an existing insurance company and mixed a couple of them together. So the only code I had to write or have on the page was the actual login page, and everything else is just pictures. And if you're not paying attention, which is really who we're trying to get, it looks legit. And but that also saves on our time for trying to roll it out and make it work. Then we also, of course, want to make sure that we've got good email hygiene. So we got to get that SPF and DMARC record in there, so everything is on the up and up. And then one other thing that we definitely want to do is we make sure to whitelist our domains for each client. That way we can ensure that delivery gets there, because we don't want the spam filter to block out what we're trying to do. And then we also, of course, have a contact on site, so that way they know what email's going out, so that when people start asking questions, they at least have the proper response. And so we'll give a preview of that to the individual contacted each client. And so that way they know what to expect and all that. And then finally, we send a report. So this is generally how it works. We'll plan out campaigns a couple months in advance, and then Trey will work on them as he has time to, and then we send them out. And sometimes they're themed, like for December, we sent out an email for a fake nonprofit asking for donations. You know, it's just trying to pretend to be some sort of nonprofit, and said, hey, we could use some donations, and it just was a link to a fake link. So, you know, we do try and keep some things themed, but they're mostly, like, our goal is to get things that people would be likely to click on. So if like, we do have one Salesforce domain registered, or Salesforce like domain. I'm not going to use that on clients that don't have Salesforce, because I know they don't have Salesforce. And while they might click on it, I've got a better chance of getting somebody who actually uses Salesforce from clicking on it. So that's where we're going to spend that time and customize it to each client. All right, so our goals. Quick, like the goals for the actual sending, we want the email to get to the user inbox without any extra warnings or phishing indicators. We really want the person to have to be able to detect it on their own. And then we're training them to look for what to look for with the email itself. So I don't want their email provider to say, oh, possible phishing email and all this other stuff. So that's why we're going to do domain hygiene and whitelist the email or whitelist the domain and all the other normal things. We want to put the user in a position where their skills are the only thing that's going to depend on. We don't want them to have to be able to cheat and have automated systems checking them, because in the real world, your automated systems, unless you're whitelisting all your inbound mailers, something's going to get through at some point. Like, that's just how life works. And we want them to be able to have the skills to recognize it in the event that something actually gets through. And then finally, we want to make our emails look like all the other emails that are currently working. Like, we want a real fake email. We want it to look legitimate and match something that would actually get sent out. And one of our emails was so good that I got a C-level person complaining to me about it because of how good it was. So I was very happy about that, and I'll talk about that later. And then, of course, we want to report back to management anyone who fails, and then make sure that they understand the risk that this person is to the organization. Because we're not there to enforce anything. We're there simply to report. I'm not going to say this person can't use their computer because they failed the phishing thing three months in a row. But I will make sure to point out that this person keeps clicking on links and keeps putting their password in on scams. And so that's not our problem, but it is our problem. All right, so let's look at a quick sample email. So one of my clients, one of my good friends, is an insurance company up in our area called Veritas Risk Management. Their domain is veritasrm.com. So I registered veritas-rm.com. And this was like one of the very first emails we sent. So this is straight from the owner of the company. I copy and pasted his email footer. So that's exactly what his emails look like when you get it from his cell phone, other than where the word it says footer is a picture of him. And he doesn't mind me using this. It's free advertising for him. He's a great company. They do all our stuff. So this is basically one of the very first emails that we sent. And some of the issues that I'll point out are, like, it sounds just like Andrew. It's got his footer. It's got everything in there that would come from him. So we're trying to impersonate him both in tone and how it's structured. The first thing I'd like to point out is that, this is one of our fake domains, Continental Builders Insurance. Doesn't exist, but it's a great domain. This works for them because they're an insurance company. They have different carriers. One of the things that worked well is that Andrew's constantly signing up for things and then doesn't tell people until after the fact. So to get a random email saying to sign up for something wouldn't be the first time. So I was like trying to exploit that a bit. First problem is we were sending them as HTTP. And HTTP browsing is definitely not browser friendly. A lot of people, you'll get your warnings. They're going to be like, let's see here. Okay, yeah. So you can see you start clicking on HTTP browsing. Your browser's gonna start throwing websites. Chrome's gonna be like, you really shouldn't be doing this. I just stole these screenshots from Google Images. At first, because once again, this was our first email. We were still going through everything, and we didn't have the SSL certificates working correctly. And so the first couple of links didn't, it wasn't great because you click the link and all of a sudden now you get a warning that you're browsing without HTTPS. And that violated the goal of making sure that people don't get any extra warnings beyond themselves. So thankfully, we can use Let's Encrypt. And all of our links now have HTTPS in them. And it works great. And it's actually pretty straightforward. And Gophish has a way to integrate that. You just have to you generate your certificates, put it in a certain location in the Gophish folder, and it does all the rest for you. And it's wonderful. And so our first email, you got that link and it's HTTP. The other thing is that we now, instead of having the direct link, we're hiding, we're all of our emails have it hidden, so it's like a click here or click here or click here, or it's mostly click here. And so that's actually an HTTPS link to Office360.live. And so that was one of the very first things we encountered, because the first email, I'm just going, well, crud, it's not going through. And it took a little bit to get the combination of just to get the certificates working correctly. One of the other things is that, or one of the other limitations is that if you're using the Gophish, you can only have one domain certificate running at a time. So what we'll try and do is make sure that we're using the same domain for all of our clients. So that way I don't have to worry about possibly having overlap between the domains and the certificate. So if I've got the certificate for Continental Builders Insurance live this month for this campaign, and I send out an email from veritas-rm.com, there's going to be a certificate mismatch because we've got the one loaded versus the other. So as a result, we'll make sure that all of our campaigns have the same domain. And if we have to use a different email, we have to use a different email, but we're going to figure out some way to keep the domains so that way we don't have certificate mismatches. It's just one of those things to make it look more legitimate. But now we're doing things like this one got a lot of activity and had, thankfully, not a bunch of clicks, but a bunch of people asking about it. And so now we've got the click here and we've got the proper domain. And so that bypasses one of the warnings that you get in the browser. Yep, so there we go. I got those 2 points. Okay, so then the next problem that we encountered, and I've only encountered this once, but it still was really annoying. The one domain I purchased was already flagged as a scam site. I was like, what? That's not fair. Yeah, Office360.live had been used for phishing in the past, and so I've actually submitted a request to Google to have it taken off the list because I intend to own it. Like, I've owned it for almost a year, and I intend to keep using it because it's one of my favorite domains to send from. Yeah. And so, what? Sorry, was that a question or?
No, you tend to use it, own it for scamming.
Absolutely, I'm using it for legitimate scamming.
Right, legitimate scamming.
Legitimate scamming. That's right. And so, like, my problem here is that, once again, I don't want to give any indications to the users that there's a problem. So we were, oops, one of my favorite domains. So, it's controlled by the browsers and it's controlled by Google or Firefox or whoever is determining the list of what's legitimate and not legitimate. So, like, we're gonna have a problem with this, right? And the answer is no, we're IT, we can fix it. Basically, one of the things that we did was we pushed Google Enterprise to all of our workstations through group policy. And there's really no difference between the enterprise and just the regular desktop because most of our clients are using Google Chrome anyway. And then we're able to push another group policy that whitelists the domains. So every time we get to send out a campaign, it's just add the domain to whitelisting. And that actually bypasses the warning message about the domain. So that was, because I was kind of, I was not expecting that when I purchased that domain. And, thankfully group policy was able to help us a ton. And but that did take a bit to figure out a proper way to get that fixed and test it and make sure everything was working. And then magic, no more browser warnings. So group policy will help you scam, which is great. Thankfully, we're supporting Windows end users. I'm sure that there's going to be an equivalent for this for Linux, but that's not what our client base is. So that kept it easy for us. And then we also whitelist all the domains on the email servers just for the purposes of delivery. But we gotta, our goal is to make sure that it lands without any warnings beyond users paying attention. So we've got that whitelisted everywhere that we can. Then we also ran into another problem. Good landing pages. Good landing pages take time. One of the first domains that we wanted to personate was Salesforce. So I bought sales-forces.com, I believe is what it was. It's pretty close. I couldn't get sales-force.com from Namecheap. They wouldn't let me squat on that domain, but they let me get sales-forces.com. I don't know. I'm just okay. So what I wanted to do was impersonate this page. And Gophish has this awesome feature where you can send it to a page and it'll import the HTML and then be able to reuse the landing page pretty quickly. And that helps on your turnaround on creating the landing pages. You can also just copy and paste, like you also typically view source and just copy and paste that information into a separate HTML for your landing page on the campaign, except that, so you saw that page. That's all it is, the login. How many lines of code do you think that page needed to show a login button?
700,000.
So I hear a 700,000. Yeah, that's I wish. Yeah. How many lines of code do you think that page actually had?
20.
6 floppies.
Oh, I thought you were talking yours, not theirs.
No, theirs. Their page for Salesforce for that single login was over 20,000 lines of code when you viewed source.
I'll do tags and birdies.
Lots of Chinese hackers.
It's just, so yeah, that broke the import function and we couldn't get that to work. So we had to, we had to recreate it. And of course, in my business, time means money. So we basically just have a simple login code that we can copy and paste. And the idea is that, like in that case, we could recreate that page pretty quickly. The only thing that would be actual code would be the login, your username and password and the actual login button. And what I would do is I just take screenshots of everything else and just dump it on the page. And it's super fast. And so that's helped reduce our time needed to create good landing pages because we could just reuse code and then use screenshots. But I was blown away when I started looking at that and going, what is Salesforce? Why is Salesforce taking 20,000 lines of code to do a stupid login page? And I still don't know. Other than that seems about right for everything else that they do on their platform and how everything else is slow. But yeah, Salesforce is crazy. All right, so so we take, so like this is an example from our Continental Builders. Rather than use the code to write out all those little links, that's just a screenshot. It's great. So we can drop that in and create a whole professional looking landing page with just pictures. And that's helped a ton. Another problem, link checkers. On one campaign I was convinced that we would have a good click-through rate. The report said 100%, and I was like, okay. The next month, we sent one that was not as good, and the report said 100%. And I was like, okay, that's not good. So, yeah, Office 365 was opening the links, and it was getting tripped by, and Gophish was recording it as a link open. I was kind of annoyed. So that was unexpected because it hadn't been occurring. And of course, it starts it on what I think was one of our best emails. And what it was an email from the company president saying that you've done such a good job. Click here to claim a $50 gift card.
Right, there's URL defense portion, because it will actually do that, travel the link and see it.
Yep. Yep, and so it hadn't been doing that, and of course, like that was the month that it just started doing that, or another admin, because we don't, it's one of those clients where we do support when they call us, but they've got someone full-time, and so we had to turn off the link checking. We could fix it. Yeah, just basically had to tell Office 365, please don't click our links. That's not helping. This is the one time when we don't want you to click our links, because we want you to click all the other links, but we don't want you to click our links. And I'm very sad that was the most likely click candidate. And that was the one that that was the one that I actually got complaints from C-level, because he said that one employee in particular was so excited to get a gift card for his hard work being recognized that only to find out it was a scam, and he was very upset. And I'm just sitting there going, so you have a employee recognition problem on your hands. This is you not recognizing your employees. This is not me. So I very tactfully and politely suggested that perhaps they should reconsider their company policy for how gift cards are and rewards are issued out to the company, and because there was no policy in place, and so they took that to heart. But I was so proud that we got such a strong reaction from one of our fake emails, and he's like, why are you making it this good? And I'm like, well, because these are legitimate emails that we get. Like, if your employees are not able to discern this, what's going to happen when a real one comes through? So yeah, it was just helping. It was a user education, but I think he was not particularly happy because they sort of got caught with their pants down on not recognizing their employees very well. So, and of course, I mean, users are always a problem. What can you do? They'll gossip amongst themselves. If one person is dumb enough, if one person is unfortunate enough to click on the link, then they'll probably be like, hey, did you see the email? And they'll talk amongst themselves. Our gift card, yeah, there we go. Dirty tactics, that's right. And I wear that as a badge of honor. I'm like, I am super proud that we got such a visceral reaction from somebody because our email was so good. I wish we could say that we solved it. We don't. We can't do much about users gossiping. Although I do actually see this as a win, because if there's something malicious going around and people are telling, don't click on this link or don't click on this email, like for me, that's a win. I want to make sure that they know that, and that stuff's not actually going through. Like that's good. And hopefully they'll show this information and actual scam clicks will go down. Yep, there we go. I was got ahead of myself there. Yeah. And then there are some gaps that as I've been going through this, I've realized that there's only so much that we can help with, and there are things that we can't actually cover. We can't really address spear phishing attacks. I mean, I could, because I could customize a campaign, but now we're talking extra time and energy to focus on a couple of people. So I would say spear phishing attacks are really outside of what we can help train and deal with. Interestingly enough, one client on our phishing list did end up with a spear phishing attack working. And so, now you're talking about two people involved, one person in accounting that's involved with payroll, and the person who was the victim of the attack. And so that actually occurred after a period of time of us doing these phishing emails and training and all this other stuff. They still suffered from the attack. And I was talking to the on-site IT admin, and we're both just shaking our heads going, what are these people doing? Because we're doing all this training, we're helping them try to recognize these things, and then oh yeah, please send my payroll to this different bank account. And they just did. I was like, so users are users, and they will do what they want no matter how much training you give them. And really what we're doing works best against the entire organization. If I was doing this in-house, maybe I would look at spear phishing, but we just we don't have the time and the resources to effectively do it just to the people doing payroll. Plus, with all the training, you would hope that they would know better, but users, I guess. We can't force anyone to learn, so we've got the repeat offenders. And that's all they're going to be. They're going to be repeat offenders. We can make them watch videos. We can make them do things. But at the end of the day, they're the ones still responsible for clicking on those links. They're the ones still responsible for putting in their passwords. They're the ones responsible for all the other bad behavior that they do. And we're here as an advisory role. I can't force anyone to do something. I can't take away any privileges. And frankly, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm just here to help the company recognize and identify what are the risks and who are the people that need to be addressed. And if they choose to continue to be a problem, that is not my problem. Same thing, same thing when we catch people doing, inappropriate websites on work time and work computers. We can report it, we can block it, but I'm not responsible for any discipline that occurs as a result of that behavior. And yes, of course, we have repeat users. So some of our key takeaways, phishing is really easy to set up. I was shocked at how easy it was to start sending fake emails. I was like, wow, it took hardly any time at all. Now, it did take effort to avoid all these problems and work through them, especially since I didn't realize that didn't think through, didn't recognize that some of these things would be problems. And so that's where we spent way more time trying to troubleshoot these things than we did getting the actual Gophish install to work. That was actually super easy. Once again, some people just refuse to learn. Not my problem. We just point them out. And then when it comes to sending emails, we really want to focus on fear and greed. Fear would be click here, get reported, click here, get locked out, you're over. Sometimes it's send these gift cards or you're going to encounter legal problems or tax problems. That's how fear is used as a motivator. Greed would be fray money. We used Aegis used free gift card. It was very effective. So if you start offering people something, that's where greed is a primal motivation. And our greed, I think, yeah, nice bullet point. I think our greed emails went out more than our fear. So more people were willing to click on that free $50 gift card than they were click here to get the new company manual, because we did one that one of the insurance ones that we sent out was, here's a new HR manual, please click here to read it and view it and sign it and all this other stuff. That's sort of a negative repercussion if you don't do it, whereas the greed is the free gift card, and that had much better results. And then the best part about this, the part that I enjoy, the part that makes this job easy is we have no end to inspiration of emails that we can send. I just sort of go through my spam folder from time to time and just be like, hey, Trey, let's use this month. And it's just, there's never a lack of inspiration to pick from, because it's a very consistent ongoing problem. So, oh, wow. Okay. So that is right about what I've got. That I kind of blew through that. Because we use our emails a lot, I didn't necessarily want to put in a bunch of screenshots about what our emails are, landing pages, stuff like that. But it has been a ton. Like, I've had a lot of fun with this project. Like, there are projects that you do and you're just sort of like, okay, I'm dreading this, but I got to get it done. This is a lot of fun. I really enjoy sending these out and getting creative on how we're going to try and scam our users, or scam our clients, I should say. We sort of have internal guessing games as to how effective the email is going to be, who's going to click on it. We've got this repeat offender, are they going to click on it again? All these things. So we have really enjoyed putting this together and doing this, and I'm thankful for Trey, who is the one who handles this day to day for us internally. So yeah, so that's sort of a quick overview. I know we've got a little bit of time, so we'll just throw that out to the floor, see if you guys have questions and all that.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so if I'm Salesforce, I'm having my attorney send you a cease and desist letter.
You're welcome to, but they'll never know about it because we only send this to clients.
Well,
And we have a signed agreement with our clients saying that we're allowed to do this. So I'm not sending this out to the public. I'm not scamming anybody other than people that we have.
Somebody posted on social media and they hear about it.
Nope, we don't post. It's nowhere.
The people get busted. Oh my God, look what happened to me at work
The
today.
pissed off $50.
Yeah, Mr. Pissed off for $50 is.
I've got an indemnity agreement that says the company can't bring anything
No,
against
but
me.
you don't
So
have it with Salesforce.
yeah, but we're not in person. Yeah, we're not sending this out to anybody besides the people
No,
that
but
have contracted with us.
Content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jonathan,
I'm sending you, if I'm Salesforce, I'm sending you a cease and desist.
Probably ain't worth their lawyers' time. Especially if they find out what's being used for.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well,
they
no.
might have a trademark, but trademarks are scoped. And Salesforce does not have a trademark in scamming people.
so all of you are.
It's reputation.
You're thinking about UMTS now.
No, I'm not even familiar with that. So Jonathan, when I did the email talk a year or two ago, you have like URS and UDRP requests. So you can take your trademark, register it with the TMCH. Because I remember during my talk, I bought PayPal.com and that shut down like literally an hour before the talk.
Oh no. Oh no.
But no, so they actually get notifications whenever you're buying a locked domain if it matches the word groups.
Well, and that's why I couldn't buy sales-force. Like they straight up wouldn't let me do it. But
Well, you can
that's-
get around it in other ways, and we should talk about that too, but one thing I was kind of curious is, so we've been fishing for credentials, but what's really fun, if you just want to start screwing with the users, especially accounting, if you do like a man-in-the-middle attack, they'll actually let you manipulate the DOM object of like PayPal on the back end. So now they magically have $20 million in their bank account. But it's a full like pass-through proxy, and you also get like MFA information with it. So you get
yeah, we're not going that deep. We're just
Really?
we're yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool, and that's really yeah. They definitely that would definitely be taken to the next level, but we're not looking to go that deep with it.
Cut down really quick.
Yeah, that would be pretty bad, or that would not be in our benefit to do that.
But one other thing I was going to say, so I remember Veritas, which one they still email me happy birthday each year. So I don't even do business with them, which is a weird thing. But so you were saying it sounded like you were actually using their domain in the attack.
It had a dash in it.
Well, okay.
And I cleared it with Andrew. I cleared it with Andrew in advance. He thought it was awesome that I was able to do that.
No, yes, they also should own that, but originally, it sounds like you're not, but like I would just shy away on actually using their domain, because like one thing that I always get in is whenever I was doing email admin, there's like, we want to be able to manipulate Amazon. It's like, screw off, we're not doing that. If you want to, like Amazon, sure, but we're not going to let you just pass through as Amazon. Like,
yeah, no, and that was a specific case where I was like, hey Andrew, do you mind if I do this? And I asked him in advance, and he was cool with it. So
cool.
So Gophish, you said you could only run one TLS certificate at a time.
yeah, we only have one server set up. So if you wanted multiple campaigns with multiple different domains, you just spin up another instance somewhere else and do it that way. We're trying to keep it to one spot, so that way it's easier to manage.
Gophish can't handle more than one website at a time, or more than one certificate at a time.
One certificate. You could have 10 different campaigns with 10 different domains going at the same time, and it will respond, but it'll only throw the SSL certificate of whatever the certificate that you have
You
loaded.
put a reverse proxy in front of it, something like AJ proxy or Traffic or something,
Simpler.
and let the traffic load balancer handle your TLS certificate.
You absolutely could. Once again, we're trying to keep it straightforward, and it's from a management perspective, it's easier just to have one domain that we have active at the same time.
I wonder if it's lets you, if the client doesn't support multiple SNIs.
That's what I was about to say. Just let Encrypt do it and do a big like Route 53 or Cloudflare integration for it and be done. Super simple.
Yeah.
You could also do just like the HTTP pass-through file.
We'll make a combo cert, so they all.
Yeah, well, all of them would result in a combo cert there, because I think you can have like 10 SANs or something.
Let's Encrypt will let you have up to 255 host names on a server.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
One domain that is like
There's a rate limit.
Cloudflare.
The cert can't do that box. But
Yeah, in our case, yeah, and I had messed around with that as well. what I did, it's like for me, it was a management decision to say I want to have only one domain active because one, it introduces opportunities. If someone clicks on it and they say all these different domains, like if they're smart enough to click on the SSL cert, then you can see that it's going to all these different domains. I didn't really want to have that happen. But also, the more domains that we have, the more opportunity there is for user error to either have the wrong cert loaded. So it's just like I know that there are technical ways that I could fix it, but I've decided personally that in order to minimize the amount of time that we spend managing it, as well as minimize the opportunity for administrative error, it's just been easier for us to keep one domain. Plus, it helps keep us focused. So that I've just decided that that's how we've wanted to handle it. Plus, we also, you know, like I'd love to get more clients on this, and if we had more clients, then I'd probably be more interested in looking at how to handle multiple domains and multiple campaigns at a time. But right now, we have enough clients, or we only have a few clients that are doing this, so it's easy to do one domain per month. That's just what I decided.
Providing documentation to their insurers.
Yeah, and that way they can also, because on their cyber liability, they can put down that they're doing active testing and stuff like that. Because both companies that are doing it have cyber policies that cover a ton of stuff, and this is one of those check boxes that they can say that they're doing for testing and training.
So what's your average failure rate look like?
So I am pleased. I am both pleased and sad that we only get a couple of clicks a month on average. Like I'm glad that, you know, like I'm glad because I don't want people clicking on the wrong things, but I'm sad because I'm like, well, does it mean our emails are not as effective as they could be? So, you know,
Clicking interest.
When you help your clients whitelist these domains, has there ever been an accident where they whitelisted something a little too broad from a regex that someone actually got through?
no, we individually whitelist every domain individually. So it's not like we're not using subdomains or anything like that. It's just that domain. Once again, I want to minimize opportunity for error.
When you're whitelisting, are you doing like an ETR for source IP or just an overall domain whitelist?
I've got since we're sending it from the same IP every time, I just had to whitelist the IP once.
Okay.
And then every month we'll go in and just add the domain to safe senders, or you know, a couple different places that we'll put it in. So
Cool. I want to fish Veritas now.
That's a great service. Thank you. I like it.
And I'm sort of surprised more people aren't taking you up on it because cyber liability is a big thing. And having been in an executive role once upon a time, it's being taken a lot more seriously by insurers.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Because there have been so many big payouts, the rates are really going up.
Yep.
And cyber insurance that used to be able to get for peanuts is now thousands. I mean, just.
Well, I mean, the big player in this space is going to be KnowBe4 with good old Mr. Mitnick. And it's a bigger platform. It also costs more. They've got stuff where they'll mandatory training videos. We're just reporting it back. You know, we don't have the same setup that they do.
It helps your customers bring down their insurance premiums.
Yes. Yep. The difference here is that we're doing custom emails, whereas with KnowBe4, I mean, yes, you can make your own, but we're providing it for the end users, and we're doing all the heavy lifting. They just have to sit there and click on the links. If you'd like to sign up for my newsletter, just let me know. I'll send you a link. And
you want to market yourself through the insurance company.
That's it. So have you guys had any internal compromises that have come from phishing, or any good stories or payrolls?
Not the way to talk about.
I'm on not saying.
I'll say I partially fell for one at work, but here's the thing. It said LastPass has been hacked again. And I took that one as like the gospel of, oh God, the news broke again. And then it was like, okay, now that I actually read the email, click here if you're a master password to check if it's been compromised. It's like, you jackasses. But like just the whole, we've been hacked for the 4th time in how many years? That really didn't surprise me at the end of the day.
It's so disappointing.
I know.
They used to be good, and then LogMeIn bought them.
Well, yeah. They got hacked before that, but even then I was like, I don't really care.
Yeah, but like you read the after action report for that one, and like the lessons learned, and like they really cared.
Yeah.
And now they're like, oh, no.
Well, they try to spin them off too, and everyone's like, we don't want you.
No.
Should have sold it to Kaseya.
Well, and like, the half the thing is they actually have a like half decent method for integrating with AD and such. I think it's actually really clever because it still keeps, it builds, instead of a master password, it's a shared secret derived by something LastPass stores and something that the customer stores that can only be accessed for the end user's credentials.
Yeah, until they literally leaked half of the password to everyone on the internet.
Yeah,
For what it's worth, I've started like one password. It's just their scan bridge and was the hell.
I have been running KeyPass, and after far too many screw ups with sync, I'm running Proton Pass right now.
Still get working over here.
I suspect that
I
I
thought
have
about
no
saying-
delusions of privacy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all fun. Now quantum's coming, so we'll really won't have any. Right?
It just already solved that problem.
It's
That's what they say.
No, they've proven it some too.
like, I have only a vague understanding of the resultant set of residuals math and PQ stuff.
Mhm.
Because like, I thought it was hard to explain ecliptic curves, and I can't effectively articulate how the residuals work.
Mhm.
But my understanding is there's not currently a QFAST solution for that.
It's me. Explained.
I know people that are at the frontier of that, and it's only a question of scale, not capability.
Well, any other questions or stories or?
Some trappers are a lot worse.
I think it was interesting as a
Yeah.
whole. You definitely thought
Yeah.
about some of the elements I don't think about on a day to day. Though I will say the SSL lesson should not have been a lesson.
Yeah, I mean, like, at this point, everything's on Office 365. I haven't had to mess with SSL certs on an email server in 10 years. So probably longer than that.
So did you guys deal with getting big, bright, red, scary DKIM warnings?
No, we took care of that. I think the first couple that we did, yes, but we once again, we realized, oh, got to deal with that. So that's all good. That could be handled through our email platform.
What host is actually hosting Gophish for you?
We have it on one of our servers. Like
Oh,
we're hosting it ourselves.
so you're actually allowed 25 outbound then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's one thing I forgot to put on there. We do actually, because we started out with an Office 365 account, I do have.
And it froze.
Oh, no.
Somebody gets your cell
He's been raptured.
Damn, Brandon.
Oh, no.
All right, any other questions? All right, okay, we got it.
Yeah, we did, we'll come out to the bar.
Sorry, Jonathan.
All right,
You're still on. If you're here, see you later. We missed you here tonight.